Paul Lambert. It's nay normal. I've played for big clubs. You don't know pressure. This isn't pressure. A global pandemic. 11th place. But a new hope, a new season begins. Another good start, but the wheels fall off again. Lambert sacked. Cook in. Things get worse. Demolition Man. Marcus sells up. The game has changed. 9th place. Demolition Day. Chambers gone. Crown Jewels kicked out. Ed Bloody Sheeran sponsoring the shirt. Mark Ashton. What a beautiful beard. 10 new signings. Checkbook FC. A summer like no other. A pod like no other. Friends, we've been through it all together, and the fight back starts now. Ipswich Town are going to be great again, and we'll enjoy it all as one, as the KOA Army. Welcome to the Kings of Anglia big season preview. Let's get ready to rumble! Hello, friends. It's the Kings of Anglia big season preview. I am Mark Heath. You may be able to tell I'm quite excited. I'm wearing an Ipswich Town shirt from 1981. It is a small, so befitting a child. I'm calling it the muscle fit. It's just really tight, and I can't really wear it for that long because I have to breathe out eventually. But anyway, it is the big season preview. I'm pleased to say that the three Kings from the 5, I guess now we've got, not the 4 anymore, because the Big Porker is definitely a king. He might be right at the top of the table. Andy Warren, the Big Porker, Mike Bacon, Ross Halls, Stewie Watson pulling a full Ledley King, I'm afraid. Not bothering at all with pre-season training. Just going to turn up 3 p.m. on the Saturday when the real stuff begins and do it then. But he has sent me his predictions for this preview podcast. Basically, friends, you know the format. We're going to take you through various categories, tell you what we think is going to happen, who's going to be the stars, who's going to finish where and when. So hopefully by the end, you'll have a good idea of what we think and you'll have enjoyed greatly this season podcast. I'm going to go around the room first of all just to get the temperature, see how people are feeling. Andy Hutch Warren, I'm wearing this shirt just for you because I thought it would arouse you and get you going. But sadly, just before we started rolling, you told me rather than arouse, it's amused you.
It has amused me. I never thought I'd see you wearing a football shirt, and it's made me smile.
Yeah.
You've chosen a good one, though.
I mean, I haven't worn a football shirt, I don't think, since I was about 13. So, this probably would have fit me when I was 13, actually. Anyway, moving on. Mike Bacon, the Big Porker. You weren't with us Monday, and people were upset. But luckily, you are with us now for what really matters, the big season preview. How are you, Mr. Bacon?
Pumped.
Yeah.
Pumped. Yeah, pumped. I'm feeling it now. It's going to be. Your shirt certainly has certainly aroused me. That's for sure. It's going to be a good one, isn't it? I mean, it's going to be the old hairs on the back of the neck are going to be at a very high degree come 2 minutes to 3 on Saturday afternoon when that 20,000 crowd at Portman Road get their act together, which they really, really will. It's going to be quite something. I'm getting a little bit, I wouldn't say sexy because that's the wrong word to use on a podcast.
No, it's not. It's the right word. Mike. It's the only word, Mike.
Well, you're getting a little bit sexy, Mike.
Well, it's the start of the season. If you can't be sexy at the start of the season, you might as well. You're not a football fan. You really are not a football fan if you cannot get excited for the first match of the season or the FA Cup third round day, which we don't participate in anymore. So that doesn't matter. We've only got one left. So let's go for it. Looking forward to this.
Outstanding. And of course, the youngest member of our team, but the one with the most impressive facial hair by far, Roscoe, young Ross Halls, just fresh out of the swimming pool on his day off, said, "No, friends, I'm going to be part of this preview podcast." And we are all the better for it. Ross, how are you?
I'm very well. Is it Saturday yet? I just it's gonna be so long now, isn't it? Just the wait for the game. It's just gonna come on. Let's start the game. And one thing I want to point out is, of course, we've got to mention Mike's books because it's changed again. So what have you got, Mike? What's over your shoulder?
Is that Jimmy White?
Yeah, it's a little bit of Jimmy White at the bottom.
Who's that in the middle?
Got a little bit of Matthew Pinsent in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Olympic hero. And just to finish it off, someone you've probably never seen play tennis, but I have, Mr. Nasty, Ili
Nastasi. What a character he was.
Nothing to do with the start of the season, but what books, eh?
I've got to be. I'm a little bit surprised about Pinson. I would have thought you'd have thought he was a little bit too toffee for you. A little bit pop, 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 pop.
Absolutely, he is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Silver spoon, and all that. But to be fair to him, what a great Olympian. I mean, can't knock him for that, can we?
Indeed, and what a tone to start the show with. Olympic legends,
Exactly.
The four kings. Big ITFC season preview. Let's get straight into it, boys. We're going to go through section by section. We're going to talk about best signings, MVP, who's going to score the most, who's going to get promoted, where Town are going to finish, hot takes. The whole enchilada is going to be involved. But first of all, I want to know, boys, I'm going to start with you, Hutchie, as the lead king. Best Town 11. This is assuming everyone's fit from the players they've signed, who you would start if all things were equal. Obviously, we know Mr. Edmondson is not going to be ready for Saturday, sadly. And it sounds like Scott Fraser's got a bit of a sore one as well. So he's a question mark. But Hutchie, if everyone was fit, who would be your starting 11?
I don't think there are too many question marks over this. And I think that's probably an indicator of the squad being a little bit thin. But I'll do it very quickly. Hladky in goal, obviously. Vincent Young, Edmondson at the moment. Enciala for me. Matt Penny, that's the back five. There's only one question mark in there for me, and that's Wolfenden or Toto. I'll go Toto. Evans and Harper is slam dunk. Wes Burns on the right. Scott Fraser at the 10. Joe Pigott as the lead striker. Then the only other real question mark for me is on the left side. I'll be honest, I've not seen enough. None of us have seen enough of Connor Chaplin. I don't know where he's going to play. So right now, I'd go Dobra.
Fair enough. That sounds fairly straightforward to me. I think most people would probably agree with you there. Clearly, there's going to be a conversation around Wolfie and Toto and who plays alongside George. Not going to be an issue this weekend. Mr. Bacon, any advances on that?
Yeah. Yes, there are. There are a few issues, to be honest.
Feel free.
Which no, they're not really. As Andy said, it does pick itself a little bit. But I would, do you know what I do? I'd start with Wolfenden rather than Toto. I think Wolfenden alongside, of course, assuming Edmondson would be here, of course, it'd be Edmondson. But I mean, it's not going to be. But there you go. And I would. Do you know what I would do?
What would you do?
I'd play Norwood. I would play James Norwood alongside Pigott, and I'd use Pigott more as a slight number 10. I'd have them just off each other a little bit. Norwood bang up front, Pigott just off him, but a little bit more presence in that box when the likes of Fraser and Burns whips and crosses in, and have obviously Harper, the likes of Harper and Evans sitting. Chaplin at the moment, not quite sure.
So you've got Fraser and Burns playing wide, have you, in that?
Yep.
Okay.
I think Fraser's left foot is a bit is Wandy, and I think Wandy.
You've got
Wandy.
What is it? Only left? Is it only left feet that can be wide?
Only left feet can have wands, and I think I think he's really classic on Millwall on Saturday. Really missed him, so I'd have him more there. I know Nord and people say Nord and Pigott too similar. I don't think so. I think Pigott's very versatile. I think we underplay him. I don't think he's an out and out number 9, just sits in the box waiting for things to happen. I think he does a lot more than that. Let him drop back a bit. Let him make things happen. A bit Harry Kane-ish. Come back, get the ball, move it, then get in the box. And you've still got Norwood. But that would mean, obviously, Evans and Harp have to sit quite a bit more deeply.
And just quickly, obviously, you disagree there with Hutchie about Toto, with Wolfie playing alongside Edmondson in your 11. What's the thinking there?
Well, because I like Wolfie.
Because you talked about Elton John with Wolfie, and therefore
that's about it, really. I don't think there's a lot between. To be fair, I don't think there's a lot between them, and I don't. As Hutcher, there really isn't a lot between them. So I'm going with Wolves. I just don't think he's done much wrong, and he's getting in a little run of things. He's a young player. He's quite capable of playing League One. For goodness sake, it's not the Premier League. He's quite capable being a good League One defender. He's one of our own type thing, but we're not just picking on that reason alone. But I think should we bring him through and get a good guy like Edmondson alongside him? But Toto and Wolfenden together is no problem either.
Okay, there you go. That's Mike's. Roscoe, what are you saying?
It's actually very difficult. For the first time in however long, the start of season, it was actually difficult to pick who's going to be left out of the squad. So that's good for our bench. I'm starting Pigott up front.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start my boy, Macaulay Bond, of course.
Okay.
I'm just deciding. I don't think Scott Fraser's a winger, really. I don't think I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. I think he is a number 10. So maybe I'll put Bond on the wing, maybe.
Okay.
And then they can change their roles up a little bit. And then
So
Wes Burns, of course.
So Bond's on the left, Burns is on the right. Fraser's in the 10, Piggott's up front. Obviously, I assume Harper and Evans in midfield. No one's going to go away from that. The Rolls-Royce pairing. So what have you got? Defence wins championships. What have you got at the back?
Miles Kenlock left back. Joking. That is very much a joke. I'm very torn as well with Wolfie or Toto. So Emerson will start when he's fit.
Yeah.
But I'm very torn really right now. I want to go for Wolfie, but then also I want to go for Toto. I think Toto has really impressed me during pre-season, but then also he's got those mistakes in him. So
you can't have
I'm gonna go Wolfie. I'm gonna go Wolfie as well.
Wolfie in the fridge. The wolf in the fridge in the centre of defence. I like that. And then obviously KVY, I assume, on the right, Penny on the left, and clearly, who's starting goal? Rossi, what's his name?
The other Czech goalkeeper that is not 6'9", so I'm gonna go with him.
Okay, fair enough. So there you go. There's the starting lineups. I don't think I'd disagree too much. I think I'd play Fraser in the 10. I'd put Chaplin on the left. I know we haven't seen much of him, and the rest I think is fairly straightforward. I'd go with Toto in the heart of defence, because I think League One, you just need people who can head and kick the ball. You don't need cultured centre backs. You need players who've got a bit of intimidation factor, a bit of strength, and who can just hoof it when needed. And Toto can certainly do that. So that'd be my starting 11. Right then, boys. Town have made 10 signings this summer. A summer like no other, as you may have heard in the intro. But who has been the best signing? Mike, I'm going to go with you here first.
The best signing this season for Ipswich Town has clearly been Joe Pigott. A talented striker on I don't know what is it, a 3-year deal, I think it's a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
Showing intent that is a good age, good striker, knows this league, will get you goals, and he can play. That's the thing. He can play. He is not just a striker, but we've already seen him score goals. He's got one at Colchester. He smashed the post against Palace. He knows where the goal is, so he's going to get us goals. Goals win games. Nothing else wins games. You don't win games, you don't score a goal. You need goal scorers, and we haven't had enough of them. And so Pigott is my man. Last decent goal scorer was Daryl Murphy about 1906 or whenever that was. and since then, he's the man I think is the best signing.
And also, of course, shares your nickname, the Big Porker. He's firmly number 2 in the Big Porker rankings, though. So Joe Pigott.
Apparently so, yes.
Joe Pigott says, Mike. Rossi, what are you saying? Best signing of the summer?
Once again, with the starting 11, 10 unbelievable signings. I've changed my mind so many times with this one. I'm going to go for, and also because of Hutchie's fantastic interview with him, Lee Evans. Good old Lee Evans. Played under Cook before. He's a leader. Can take set pieces. Kind of a shot from outside a box. And he's just got a very British name, Lee Evans. So
solid,
easy to say. Just easy to say for me.
That's what we want.
I mean, obviously he is Welsh, but it is
British. British, still the same thing, isn't it? Great Britain, Olympics.
It is a very solid name, Lee Evans. Yeah. Hutchie, agree?
We've discussed this a few times on the pod, haven't we? This summer, and I've said Lee Evans every time. So I'm not going to change that now.
I'd agree with you. I think Lee Evans is going to be superb for Town this season. Our absent friend, Mr. Ledley King, Stewie Watson, has sent in his predictions for me to read out. So his best signing, he says, Scott Fraser. He says, Town's big problem over the last couple of seasons has been a lack of creative spark in the final third. A shortage of goals from midfield is an even longer standing issue. Fraser arrives having produced 30 goals and 25 assists in League One over the last 3 seasons for Burton and MK Dons. Enough said. So we've got 3 votes for Lee Evans, 1 for Scott Fraser, 1 for Joe Pigott, which, boys, I think is quite nice in a way because it shows there is Town have made some decent signings all round. Right then, the sexy stuff, the striker. Who's going to score the most goal? I say striker. It doesn't have to be a striker. Obviously, Ross went for Gwion Edwards last season. Who's going to score the most goals and how many are they going to get? Roscoe, starting with you. You can't say Gwion Edwards. You're not going to say Wes Burns, are you?
No. I'm going to steal probably everyone's thunder here. So sorry, Mike, in advance. Of course, it's going to be Joe Pigott. 22 goals last year. I think 20 in League One. That's what we've lacked. He's a goal-scoring striker. I think James Norwood will be up there as well if he does start. I think everyone's going to have a piece of the cake in terms of scoring. I think that's the phrase. It's probably not the phrase, is it? Piece of the cake, probably not.
Piece of the pie, whatever.
Yeah, I think Joe Pigott will get that creative spark that he's probably needing, and he scored a lot of goals for Wimbledon last year in a struggling Wimbledon side. So hopefully, with the likes of Wes Burns, Scott Fraser, I'll name them all, who can create the goals for him. So it's an obvious answer, but I'm going to go with it.
I think every single one of us is going to say Joe Pigott. I know Mike is. I mean, Mike's just going to answer Joe Pigott to every question, I think, including who's going to win the league. So, Mike, do you want to tell us how many goals Joe Pigott's going to score this season for Town?
Yes, I can do. He was going to get 18 league goals, and he's going to get 23 in all competitions.
Oh, nice. 18 league goals, 23 in all competitions. Prolific. Hutchie, are you as optimistic about Pigott?
I think he probably will be the top scorer. I'm not quite as optimistic in terms of the number. I think 17 is the number I'm going to land on, and I think the goals are going to get shared around, particularly among those strikers. I had him down in my starting 11, but I'll be honest, James Norwood is very, very close to taking that central striking role myself. He hasn't scored in pre-season, James, but I just think he needs to be playing in a team that makes chances. He's hit double figures despite barely playing really over 2 seasons in a rubbish team. So I think the goals will be shared around. I think James will hit double figures. I think Bond will get 8 or 9, and Pigott will be on 17. I'd expect Fraser to chip in with some as well, and you'd hope that Chaplin will too. So hopefully it's not all going to be on Joe Pigott, and he's not going to be on penalties, crucially. I don't think a striker is going to be on penalties this season. That should be Fraser or maybe even Evans. So maybe not going to hit those heights.
I agree. Pigott, I think if Town are going to have the season we all hope they're going to have, I think Pigott probably has to be the leading scorer. And I'm going to say 20 because that's the mythical number, isn't it? Every team who wants to contend for promotion has to have a 20-goal a season striker. So I'm going to say 20. Stewie says a conservative 14 for Pigott. He does think Pigott's going to be leading scorer because I think James Norwood and Macaulay Bond will share the load, just like his man Hutchie believes as well. So we go. We're all saying Joe Pigott from 23 total down to 14, but fingers crossed he has a great season because we need him to, don't we, boys? Right then, next up, we've got American owners. So the next question is, who is going to be Town's MVP? I'm pleased that Stewie's not around for this because he hates American things. That means most valuable player, if you're not aware. Hutchie, I'm going to come back to you. Who's going to be Town's most valuable player this season?
It's really boring. I'll have to say Evans again for all the reasons why I think he's the best signing. I think he's probably going to take the captain's armband. I just think that midfield too, him and Harper, set the tone for this team. They have to take on a lot of responsibility. They have to get involved and make the team play, but they also need to have a real defensive responsibility there to allow the fullbacks to get forward. And it won't always be the most flashy at times, but I think he's going to be the key to making this team tick. So kind of Matt Holland feel about him for me, in terms of just possessing a little bit of everything, and I think that's what we're going to see from him this year.
Okay. Stewie says KVY, which would be tremendous if that's the case. He says flying fullbacks are integral to Paul Cook's style of play. If Vincent Young can rediscover his dynamic pre-injury form, then he's going to be key to unlocking stubborn defences and protecting against the counter. And we'd all love that, wouldn't we, boys? A full season of KVY would be tremendous. Big Porker, what are you saying, MVP? Who's going to be MVP for Town?
Well, I must, before I go any further, agree with Mr. Watson. I think Kane Vincent Young's very important, a very important part of this season, massive actually. But I've gone for Raheem. Raheem Harper, I think, is the most valuable player. I think he's a little bit of a smooth operator. He's got a good engine. He's got great skill. And what he really needs more than anything, I think, is just to continue to build his confidence up. This is a big gig he's been given here, and I think he's absolutely looking forward to it. Evans alongside him is going to be massive for him. So I think we could well be seeing the best of Harper as the season unfolds. And I think as the season therefore does start off, we'll realise what an MVP he actually is. So I think, Raheem.
Raheem the Dream. By the way, it hasn't gone unnoticed, not the top 20 podcast. stealing our Rakeem the Dream nickname. So I assume that royalties will be coming our way. Rossi, MVP, you gonna share any of the boys' thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Lee Evans and Harper. I think that is going to be our key position. That the spine of our team is having those in the midfield. And my choice is this guy.
Václav Hladký.
You hear that? Do that again.
Václav Hladký.
So yeah, that's my choice. The keeper.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I haven't thought that ages ago. No, that's not something I planned.
You know when you do videos with people or when we do like a boot room or something, you're not sure about the pronunciation. Can you just use that for every name you're not sure of? Amazing. Just play it in. So you'd be sort of talking, and then suddenly you have
Václav Hladký.
it's going to be a goal for Ipswich Town.
Can you put Patrick Kisnorbo through that quickly, please?
Bear with me. Talk among yourselves.
So you're saying the keeper, the Great Wall. Clearly, it sounds silly to say, doesn't it? But keeper is an important position. And as we know, defense wins championships.
Patrick Kisnorbo.
That's definitely not Patrick Kisnorbo, is it? As far as I know.
No. I just think he's just the preseason games we've seen so far. I think he's just been amazing. And last year for Salford, 22 clean sheets, Golden Glove, Team of the Year, and Thomas Holy, he's been okay. And when he's first signed, he had that sort of record going on, didn't he, with all the clean sheets he was making. But I just feel that is just a key position that we've needed to really upgrade, and I feel like he's going to be the man to do it. And yeah, his name is going to trouble a lot of people this year, but I'm sure he's going to be a fan favourite as well. And the pink kit.
We need to get him a nickname very quickly, so you can pronounce it. I'm going to go with Mike. I think Rakeem Harper is going to be MVP this season. I think Evans is going to be Mr. Consistency. He'll be 7, 8 out of 10 every single game and will be the absolute leader of this team. But I think Harper will provide a little bit of star quality. I can see him ending the season as the best midfielder in League One, and being the one that takes things up to 8 or 9 out of 10 at times, and leads and wins games as well. So I've been very impressed with both of them. So we've got 2 votes for Harper, 1 for Evans, 1 for KVY, and 1 for...
Oh, it's gone.
Say it. Just say it then.
Just say it.
The other Czech goalkeeper who's not 6'9".
The one who's not Thomas Holy. Right then, boys. The next one's a big one. It's the Aaron Dreinen Memorial Award surprise package of the season. Obviously, I can't pick Aaron this season because he's going to be scoring 37 goals at Leyton Orient down the road. So this is a player who right now, I guess people aren't really talking about or aren't thinking he's going to play a major part, but ends up being quite a key player and doing some good things this season. So, Mike, who's your vote for surprise package wise?
Right. Well, my vote for surprise package wise is a player who actually is playing at the moment, but I don't even think he should start at the moment, but I think he has a huge role to play and has the potential to be a very surprise package. That's Macaulay Bond. Now, Macaulay Bond has come to Ipswich a little bit sort of all around the houses. He's dropped down in National League and stuff like that. He's come back, and this is a big gig for him. Hometown club, etc., etc. I think he really wants this, and I think as the season unfolds, he will find his confidence to really. I think he's going to have to, because I can't see him starting every week. I think, well, I'd have Norwood, but no one. I don't think Norwood will play up front with Piggy, even though I want him to. And of course, obviously, I just think he's the sort of guy who could come really good and surprise us all as the season unfolds. So I'm going for Macaulay Bond.
Macaulay Bond. Rossi, what are you saying? Surprise package for Town this season?
Now, out of the 10 new signings, all of them have had excitement to it. I think there's one that I think when we were talking about him potentially signing, we were just going, yeah, Matt Penny, yeah, whatever. But I think he's going to be, I don't know, I think he's an upgrade once again on all the positions. He's upgrade on Miles Kenlock, upgrade on Stephen Ward, who started really well last year, Stephen Ward, but he's 35 and couldn't cross the ball. So Matt Penny, I think, this is his season as well. He's 23 now. He broke on the scene at Sheffield Wednesday. Unfortunately, just didn't work out for him. Went to Germany, did it right there. But I think for him, he knows that he's at an age now where he needs to play week in, week out. And I feel like he can do it in League One. And with needing a left back who can overlap as well. And I think he can do that because he can play in multiple positions. So I think Matt Penny could be a very surprise package. And it's just a signing that hasn't been talked about that much. So we'll wait and see on him.
He's definitely been the lowest key of all the signings, hasn't he? Like you say, I
Yeah.
guess there's been excitement about a lot of them, and not being unfair to Matt, I guess people have he's kind of been the forgotten man, hasn't he? In those 10 signings, Hutchie, I think you, Stu, and me have all gone for the same man for surprise package. So do you want to explain your choice and your thinking first?
Yeah. Again, Toto and Ciala. I think you talk about kind of mistakes and there being a mistake in him. It's been months and months since he last made one. He was the model of consistency actually from Christmas really onwards for Ipswich last season. Every time he's come back, it's felt like a surprise. He left for Bolton on loan in January of 2020, and it looked for all the world like that was it for him at Ipswich. It hadn't worked out. He hadn't clicked. He didn't seem happy, and there didn't really seem a way back. But him and James Wilson were a really good partnership last season. Toto was a really big part of that too. He's found a consistency. I think he's got a manager that's made him feel big. He's had the armband on him. And I think that could bring the best out of him.
Okay, Stewie agrees. He says so many people have written him off after an error-strewn opening 2 campaigns with the Blues, but Toto was an integral part of a back four that boasted the joint 4th meanest defensive record in the league last season. I like my centre halves to head it and kick it at this level, and Toto can certainly do that. I'm going to say Toto as well for the reasons already discussed. At the start of last season, before the big kickoff, I wrote a piece about players who had a chance to make an impact, things to prove, and I gave Toto a 1 out of 10 chance of making an impact for Town last season. Once again, proving my extensive football knowledge and expertise in that role. We all thought he was going though, didn't we, boys? And yet he came in and played solidly and had a good season. And I think this season, as I've already said, I think he's definitely got a role to play, without being too glamorous about things. At the heart,
what number are you putting on him this? What's the impact number this year?
Well, out of 10, 8.
That's quite a jump, isn't it? In the summer,
That's a big jump from 1.
Yeah, because I think he's gonna. I honestly think he's gonna play an important role. I can't see, as I say, I'd start him over Wolfenden. I think there's too much. Well, I've already said this. Too much made of needing cultured defenders at this level. You just need big lads who can hoof it. And Toto can definitely do that. And he's also, I think, the whole side is going to be physical. They're all big units, but Toto's definitely got a role to play there in terms of intimidation factor and kind of leading in the physical side of things. Right then, boys. Next up is something that I know Hutch Hogan loves: hot takes. I'm going to start with you, Andy. A hot take off the top of your head, just a prediction or feeling about anything Town related this season. Can be whatever you want, but it has to be Town related. So what are you going to go with?
I think Ipswich Town will end the 2021-22 season with the best home record in League One.
Nice. Fortress Portman Road. Mark Ashton's already talked about that.
It's finally going to happen. Yeah.
Are you gonna put a number on how many defeats they might suffer at Portman Road? Are we talking the perfect season? No defeats?
No. There'll be one. I think they will lose twice at Portman Road.
There you go. So best home record, only losing twice at Portman Road. New look Portman Road. Mike, give us a hot take.
I have 2 hot takes. My first one is that Ipswich Town fans will be, by the end of the season, having been measured by a measuring gram from the centre circle, the noisiest fans in League One at home. Secondly, Ipswich Towns will also be the envy of the press world as they produce the most wonderful mashed potato in the press room to go along with the pies. They're my two hot takes.
Is that a hot take or is that a request? Because there hasn't been mashed potato in that press room for many a long year.
There has not, and you're correct. That is why I'm just saying it. If you wish to take it as a request, Ipswich Town people, you take it as a request.
Have you got?
I'm just saying pies on their own with an accompaniment of mashed potato is poor.
Gravy as well, little jug of gravy doing the rounds.
We never used to have much gravy, Andy, but we used to have baked beans. If you remember, we have lost.
Yeah, I
them.
do remember. Yeah,
I'm not going to be greedy. I'll just talk the mashed potato. But we have the mashed potato. However, going back to my first one about Ipswich Town fans, if they put that little measuring thing on the centre circle, don't they, to measure their decibels?
Yeah.
Ipswich Town fans are going to outsing and be the noisiest in League One should they bother to do such a test.
The measuring gram, the official scientific name for the decibel
I don't know what it's called.
Whack the measuring thingy there. Yeah, Town of the loudest.
Exactly.
So you've got no inside knowledge on the mashed potato, Mike. That's just more kind of a little plea from yourself.
If the club wish to take this as a request, feel free.
I mean, you have got a point. When you go and you just get a pie, that's neither here nor there, is it?
You would never sit in a pub and go and look at the menu. It just says pie, would you? You wouldn't ever see steak and kidney pie accompanied with nothing.
Yeah.
Can we maybe supply some quality sauces though, like the Suffolk's finest sauces? It's not. We're very privileged to get fed at football grounds, but Ipswich is not. If I was to choose a ground to attend 23 times a season based on the food alone, it would not be Portman Road.
But obviously, the question now is, where would it be then?
Wycombe Wanderers, if you're asking.
Nice.
They. Do you remember Ross?
Yeah.
New Year's Day last year, season before last. Sorry, beautiful lasagna with some garlic bread there, homemade in those big, those big metal school containers that probably had about 100 portions in. But mine went cold because they decided to announce a new 5-year contract for Paul Lambert while I was eating it. But I got a phone call while I was eating it, and I thought it was a joke, but it wasn't.
If you want me in here for a bit of retro, I could take you back to December 1999 when Ipswich Town were at Newcastle United, and I covered the game. And the Newcastle United fare was a choice of 3 roasts, not just one, 3: beef, pork, or turkey with your roast, accompanied by Christmas pudding, ice cream, and everything else. Yes, so one pie is a little different these days.
But we'll take it. We'll take it though, won't we?
Not complaining. Better than nothing. And lovely, and the lovely people who serve us, they're all lovely people in there. That it's lovely to have them. Just a little mashed potato. That's all I'm asking. It's just, I'm not asking. I'm just hot. It's a hot take. It's a hot take.
I'd agree with you, Mike. I think you need mashed potato. You need potato options, really, don't you? So roast potatoes, chips even would be nice. Can we get a little bit of tender stem broccoli, maybe a bit of asparagus? Asparagus out of season at the moment, but that's lovely.
You're not finding asparagus at many football grounds.
Could I also put in here that of course the fans enjoy pie. The fans enjoy pie a lot. Okay, at half time, off they go for their pie and pint. There is absolutely no reason there could might be a massive tray of mashed potato alongside that they just, bit like in the prison food, sort of scoop it up, plop it in with their pie. That would make everyone so happy.
Well, we know Mark Ashton has talked about the fan experience and getting the food right and the beer cold. So let's see. Maybe he's going to surprise us when fans go back Saturday. There's going to be a full range of pie options plus sides.
A mash gun, like in a gun.
Well, you just open your mouth and just fire it in. Amazing. Right, I enjoyed that hot take. Rossi, what's your hot take?
I want to keep with the food, but it's not going to be about eating the food. It's just a sponsor for a competition that we're going to be competing in. Of course, Papa John's Trophy, Hutchie's favourite competition. Do you know what? I know Paul Cook said that cup competitions are going to be very much, he's not really going to care about too much because the winning promotion is, but why not? Wembley. We're going to go to Wembley. Papa John's Trophy final against, I don't know, Sunderland or somebody. And yeah, I don't know if we'll win it or not, but my hot take, why not? Let's go to Wembley for the Papa John's Trophy.
I'd be up for that. If it's the Papa John's Trophy final, does that mean Papa John's are catering as well at Wembley? Are we getting...
Well, that's been a thorough disappointment. There's not been a single sighting of a pizza at these games so far. So
I'm thinking if it's the final though. and it's got your
Well,
name
you'd
on
hope
the-
so. You'd hope
Yeah.
so. They need to pull their finger out a bit with the whole thing, really. Yeah, it could be so great, but it's not.
Okay. My hot take is thus, friends. Bear with me on this one. I think at some point this season, might be early, might be mid-season, Ipswich Town are going to be in the bottom half of the table. I think Town may start slowly because of sheer turnover of playing staff. A lot has changed at the club. They were all quality players they brought in, but you can't just put quality players on the pitch and go, right, you're going to win 10-0 now. I think there is going to be a point this season where Town are sitting below mid-table, and we need to be brave at that point, friends, and say this is a long-term thing. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's not kick off. Things will come good, and hopefully they will. So there's my hot take. Stewie, his hot take here. It says he's going to get a blue tick at some point this season on Twitter. It doesn't actually say that. I've made that up. He hasn't included a hot take. But that's my hot take for Stewie. Right then, boys. So there we go. Hot take's done. Let's talk about positions, shall we? I alluded to it a little bit there. Let's start. We're going to build to the where Town will finish, which we'll come on to kind of lastish. But who do you reckon are the four sides who are going to get relegated from League One this season? Hutchie, what are you saying?
Reeling them off: Morecambe, Wimbledon, Fleetwood, Cambridge. Do you want some reasons?
Go for it.
Morecambe, a bit of an unknown in terms of their manager. Obviously, lost their promotion-winning manager. I really liked their signing of John Obika, who's a player I've watched a lot of over the years. A good, solid player at this level, but he's out for a fair time. I just think it's not going to come together for them. Wimbledon have obviously lost their main source of goals. There's some really good young players in there, but I fear one or two more maybe poached before the end of the window. Fleetwood is the one I would really be worrying about. They've obviously punched their weight and more in League One in recent years, but that squad is getting stripped back now. Obviously, Wes Burns is here. They've lost Paddy Madden and Ched Evans, Glenn Whelan from midfield. It's budgets are being cut up there, and Cambridge with Paul Mullen not being retained. I worry for them quite a lot, not just because of that. I'm not convinced by their recruitment this summer. So they're the four I'm tipping to go down.
So just repeat them. They're Morecambe, Cambridge,
Wimbledon, Fleetwood.
Wimbledon and Fleetwood. Stewie Watson has gone for Morecambe and Cambridge, Fleetwood. So three of your four plus Cheltenham, which is also the same four I've gone for. I think a lot of people, I know actually Rossi, you don't agree here, but I think all of us apart from Ross have definitely got Morecambe and Cambridge as two of the four. Mike, what's your four?
Well, my four are Morecambe and Cambridge, as you alluded to. But the reason I just like to reason to Cambridge. I went to Cambridge as a fan back in the 80s when Ipswich Town were there in a League Cup match and was almost ejected from the ground after climbing a floodlight pylon because I couldn't see. And it was,
I assume you weren't working as a journalist at the time.
No. In fact, no, it wasn't. No, I wasn't working as a journalist. No, I wasn't. Well, I was there as a fan, and it was a huge game because Ipswich didn't play Cambridge very often. I can't remember the scores, but I remember walking across a park to get to the Cambridge ground, Abbey Stadium. We couldn't see, so me and my friend hoiked up a floodlight and were told if we didn't come down, we'd be ejected, which was. And we were frisked before we went in, all very bit over the top at the time. I mean, probably not the same now, but plus the fact I think as Andy alluded to, I don't think Cambridge is going to be strong enough. I don't think Morecambe are. My other two I've gone for actually are Plymouth because it's a long way, and I think as much as a friend of mine I play golf with comes from Plymouth. There's always going on about the Pilgrims and really gets on my nerves. So I wouldn't mind and obviously it's going to get my nerves even more if they beat us. So I could really do with them perhaps not having a very good season. But this is not very football related, I'm afraid, KOA fans. So you're not getting much of an insight into Plymouth squad here. This is a bit sort of
it's personal.
It's a bit personal. and my fourth one is a little bit of a different one because again, I mean, this goes back to food again. Last season I went to Crewe. To to watch Crewe, and I can't remember who they were playing, but I was up in near Nantwich for a few days, and me and my friend went and took a match at Crewe. One of the biggest stands I've ever seen is at Crewe. You've probably seen it, Andy. It's one side is like the size of a huge stand, but again, they had no tomato ketchup with the burgers. I bought a burger, and they just said, they said, "Well, I've got brown sauce," and that sort of annoyed me a little bit. So if Crewe get relegated, I'm not too worried.
Mike, big tip: next time, chip shop across the road at Crewe. It's very very good. You'd enjoy that for your next trip. Don't bother with the stuff in the ground.
Well, I did buy in the ground. Yeah. Well, thank you, Andy, for that. I appreciate that little tip when we go there up again, because I might do actually, because it's quite close to my friend's house. So we'll. Yeah.
Brown sauce with a burger.
Can't have it, can you? It's absurd. I know.
Neanderthals.
I know.
What are they doing?
Sausages, yes. Burgers.
Yeah, sausages, absolutely.
Burgers, no.
Sausages and bacon, yes. Burger,
they do
brown
some
sauce.
strange things in the
And in
north
fact,
of
as a
England,
protest at the time, I handed them back my Mars bar that I'd also bought and said, "Well, I don't want my Mars bar then."
you probably paid about £3 for that Mars bar as well. So for you to hand that back is actually quite the protest.
Was there mashed potato?
There wasn't mashed potato, no. It was just a burger.
Outrageous. Rossi, I've already said that you don't think Cambridge are going to get relegated, unlike the rest of us. Who do you think is going to get relegated?
I've changed my mind on what I sent you. Is that okay to do? It's fine for the piece in the paper and all that. That can be. So
you're not being consistent. You're just going. Say whatever.
Cambridge is still staying up,
right?
Because of just a soft spot. That's where my dad lives, and I like Cambridge. The coconuts, are they called? That's what I hear they're called over there. Is that wrong?
I've never heard that before.
I thought they're called the U's.
They're called the
U's as well, but I think they're called the coconuts as well.
Are they?
We'll have to Google that. Yeah, I think so. But
I'm going to Google that immediately.
I used to follow Cambridge because we used to live near Cambridge as a lad in the John Beck era, the glory era, and I've never ever heard them referred to as the coconuts. And I used to go to quite a lot of Cambridge games.
In fairness, Cambridge is a great city to go for a weekend break.
Lovely.
I mean,
absolutely,
away from the football, I love Cambridge, but no, it's a football podcast.
So Cambridge is staying up. Who are going down then, Rossi?
I think Morecambe, as sort of Hutchie alluded to, they've lost their manager, and this is their first ever season in League One in their history. So I see them struggling. I'm going to go AFC Wimbledon as well. Losing your top goal scorer for the last few years is going to be a struggle for them to improve. I know they've got a few good youngsters coming through. They've got a good young manager, but I just don't think it's going to be. And the team I'm bringing in, because I was going to say Accrington for some reason, I think I just randomly said Accrington. I'm actually going to put Gillingham, because I think they've lost a lot of their key players. Dominic Samuel, Jordan Graham, Connor Ogilvie, who's joined Pompey. Jack Bottom, their goalkeeper. So I know Steve Evans is a character, and I'm sure he knows what to do in this league. But I think they're going to struggle. And I don't think they're recruited that well either, really. And I think they could still lose some of their players. So Gillingham is there, and then is it one more? I think one more.
Have you said Morecambe, Wimbledon, Gillingham?
Oh, I think Cheltenham will go down, but then I'm also thinking that Michael Duff has done a fantastic job there. But I think they're going to struggle with the squad. So I think they'll fight to the last day, Cheltenham, but I think they'll go down.
Okay. I'll correct you. I'll update your answers in the supplement stuff and online. Don't worry about that. Steve Evans is a character, Ross. That's one way of describing him, certainly. Well then, boys, that's the relegated sides. Those are sides who are going down. What about the side that's going to surprise a few people this season? Again, like the Aaron Dreinen Memorial Award for the players, the Dark Horse Award for a team this season. Who do you reckon is going to perhaps come out of obscurity and shock a few people? Hutchie, give me a dark horse.
Bolton Wanderers are my dark horse. The run that they were on towards the end of last season was ridiculous. The way that they got promoted, coming from almost 20th, I think 19th or 20th in League Two in February to win automatic promotion is ridiculous. They've made some decent signings. I like George Johnston. He's a big centre-back they've brought in from Feyenoord. He was at Wigan previously. They made some other sensible additions too. I don't think they're going to be the strength of this league this year is ridiculous. There are 7, 8, 9 teams that would all think they should be in the top 3 or 4. I don't think Bolton are going to trouble them, but I think Bolton will be firmly in the mix. There's another kind of dark horse, but people aren't talking about Wickham. Obviously there are big clubs in this league: Ipswich, Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday, Charlton. But Wickham have come down. They've stayed consistent. They've signed Sam Vokes, which I think is a good signing for this level. And I think they could potentially be a dark horse as well. I don't know if they necessarily qualify for dark horse status though, given that they've come down from the Championship. So I'll go with Bolton.
I think Wickham do though, mate. I think you're right about that. I think Wickham are not a fashionable side, are they? So you kind of overlook them, even though they have just been in the Championship. Back in League One, no one's probably really thinking much about Wickham. So Bolton and Wickham as a backup. Mike, who's your dark horse for League One this season?
Right, my dark horse for the league this season is Lincoln City. I think Lincoln City will again surprise and shock, like they have been doing for the last few years, punching a bit above their weight, maybe, but I can't remember if they've been in the Championship. I don't know if they have. I don't think they have. I don't know if they've been that high. I think, obviously, Teddy Bishop's gone there, made some good signings. I just think Lincoln, they just have a bit of a pedigree these days to just shock a little bit. And just whether they'll get promoted, I don't think they will. But I think they'll be a good team. They'll be a good game for anyone this season, as they have been the last couple of years. And Lincoln City are my dark horses. Plus, I've got some relatives in Lincoln who are all they're all mad over Lincoln City and Sincil Bank. They're crazy over them. So I'll give them a little shout out as well, because obviously I'm going to send this link to all them to get another few hits on the KOA podcast.
You've got a lot of personal interest in this league this season, haven't you? You've got people at almost every club, which is fueling both your predictions and your desires. Is it okay? You're emotionally involved. You are emotionally involved in this.
This is why I used the word "sexy" at the start of the podcast. You see, that's how it's affecting me. The whole thing is just too big. The whole thing's getting too big for me. Really, to be honest.
Okay, well, you have a little beta blocker and calm down a little bit. Roscoe, thank you. Your dark horse,
and it's connected to Mike's friend, the Pilgrims, Plymouth. I think Plymouth. Sorry, Mike, your friend is going to be moaning at you. Or it's going to be saying, "Oh, we're doing so well. We're doing so well." I think Plymouth, Ron Lowe, good manager. I think they recruited well. I think they've got a very experienced side. I know that last year they finished 18th, which isn't great, but I think they've got a good fan base. And I just, it's going to be a long trip down there to Devon, but I don't know. I just feel Plymouth could be a good year for them. And I've also got that Jeff Cott up front, young striker. Probably butchered his name, but I just feel, and James Wilson as well. I think that's one thing they lacked last year is their defence. When I was speaking to the Plymouth reporter who's been doing it for 25 years, he said that is one thing they lacked last year is their defence. They just conceded too many goals, so I think they're shored up the defence and they made some shrewd signings. So yeah, Plymouth.
There we go. So we got Plymouth, Lincoln, Bolton / Wickham. Stewie says Accrington Stanley are his dark horse. I'm going to say, boys, MK Dons. I think a lot of people getting quite excited about them before Russell Martin departed, taking with him Matt Gill. But they have, obviously, their son Mo Isa. They've got Troy Parrott on loan. I know they've lost Scott Fraser, but I think, again, I can see him probably starting a bit slowly, but I think maybe MK Dons could still surprise a few people this season. So there we go. They've got
a brilliant manager as well. A brilliant new man in charge there temporarily at the moment.
Is that the Dean?
He's taken the gig. He's taken the caretaker role. Dean Lewington, an institution both in League One and in MK. So he's the man.
You'll be hoping they do well then, Hutchie.
Absolutely.
You've got a bit of a man crush / bromance with Dean Lewington, haven't you?
Absolutely.
He's your man. Okay, well, there we go. We shall watch from afar with interest. We'll see if he gets the job full time. I think he's among the favourites, isn't he, Hutchie? I saw he was.
Oh, they're always among the favourites, aren't they? These caretakers. I'd be very surprised, but also absolutely delighted.
You would be delighted. Right then, boys, we've done relegated, we've done dark horse. Now it's time for the big question. And we're going to do this before we do the top two and playoff places for reasons that will become clear, because I think none of us are going to say Town are going to finish outside of the top 6. I'm hoping. So where are Ipswich Town going to finish this season after a summer like no other? So many changes. We need Ipswich Town to launch a solid promotion push, and at least get into the top 6. Mike, where are Ipswich Town going to finish?
Ipswich Town this season, my heart says they'll win the league by 14 or 15 points, to be honest. But my head says they'll finish 4th. They'll have a solid season, finish 4th, and we'll win in the playoffs, because I'd rather go to Wembley in the League One playoff final than the Papa John's Trophy. Now, I don't mind going twice, to be honest, but I mean, I'll be quite happy to go. I'll be quite happy to go at least for the League One. Lucky enough to be at the playoff final in 2000. How great that was! I tell you, going up via the playoffs is far better than win the league. Don't you ever believe any different? Although it gives you an extra month off, I suppose, for the players. But anyway, 4th for me, and a playoff win.
Okay, you were green editor, weren't you then? When Town were at Wembley?
Have I told you this? I was. Yes, I was. It was very difficult sitting in the Wembley press box, not being able to stand up and shout when Rooster went through for the final goal. You had to sit there and make a note of it with your pen.
Did you phone copy over? How did that work back then?
Yes, we had. Yeah, there's no laptops then. Yes, we phoned copy over. I think actually, so to be fair, some of the papers had laptops, but we weren't quite that advanced at the time. Believe it or not.
Why doesn't that surprise me? Okay, so you're saying 4th. Roscoe, where Ipswich Town going to finish?
And I've written this down before Mike said it, but I'm echoing what Mike said. 4th, but it's going to be a playoff defeat, I'm afraid.
Oh,
It's
Rossi.
not going to be our year.
What are you doing?
And guess what? We're not going to go to Wembley for the playoffs. Papa John's Trophy, that's happening, but we're going to lose in the semis.
They're going to get knocked out in the semis.
Yeah, or it's the record, isn't it? You know, we got to have 3 more seasons in the playoffs to get to the 4th year.
Someone didn't get the memo. Bloody hell, Ross. Hutchie, uplifters from the doom and gloom of Roscoe. What are you saying? Where are Town going to finish?
I've got Ipswich 3rd. I think it's going to be a really competitive year. I think, like you've said earlier, Mark, I think we may need to be a bit patient to start with. I don't think there's going to be too long spent in the bottom half of the table, if at all. But I think there needs to be an element of patience. But I'm confident this team will come good. There are too many attacking options in it for them not to be right in the mix. So I've got them 3rd. And your next question is going to be: are they going to win the playoffs? And of course they are. Yes. If they make them, they'll win them. Of course they will.
Outstanding. See that, Ross? See that? Stewie says no need for the playoffs, friends. He says Ipswich Town are going to finish 2nd, going straight up, baby. Which is for Watto, who is naturally, I'd say, a kind of pessimistic person by nature. For him to say 2nd is encouraging indeed. I'm going to agree with you, Hutchie. I reckon 3rd. I just can't see, and we'll come on to the sides we're going to finish above them in a minute. I can't see Town finishing above these 2 sides. There's so many good sides in this league this season. I just can't see Town finishing in the top 2 above these 2 sides we'll come on to in a minute. So I'm going to say 3rd. Obviously, Town are going to win at Wembley, and it's going to be a tremendous day. Mike will be there once again, 21 years later, still only 35.
Can we make him phone his copy over?
Yeah. Well, to me, sitting down the end of the other end.
Just for nostalgia's sake.
Okay, so we've got a range there. None of us say anything lower than 4th. We've got 2 4ths, we've got 2 3rds, and we've got a 2nd from our absent friend, Mr. Ledley King, Stewie Watson. So then, boys, let's do the rest of the places. First of all, top 2, shall we? Stewie reckons top 2, Ipswich is going to be 2nd. Sheffield Wednesday, he says. Troubled Sheffield Wednesday are going to win the league, which I guess would be something of a surprise given the state they're in at the moment. Hutchie, what do you reckon? Town are going to finish 3rd? Who's going to finish above them?
Not Sheffield Wednesday. I think I'm going to disagree with Stu on that one. They've got some good players still at that club, but it just seems too much of a summer mess to me for them to mount a title challenge. So not them. I'm going to be boring. I think Rotherham are going to win it again and get promoted again. Sorry. Teams hate playing Rotherham at this level. Yes, they've lost Matt Crooks, but the majority of that squad remains. Paul Warne knows what he's doing. They make it difficult for teams. They don't concede many goals. And I think for that reason, they could be the consistent ones amongst a league that have got a few big clubs but a few unknowns in it. So Rotherham champions for me, and Sunderland I think are finally going to get the job done. I think people might look at Sunderland and think that's maybe half built, which I think is probably fair. It is. They haven't really replaced Charlie Wyke with anyone external, but honestly, I think Will Grigg is gonna start scoring some goals again for Lee Johnson up there. I can see him getting something out of Will Grigg potentially. I like Corey Evans as a central midfield option. I think that's an upgrade from what they had with Leadbitter in the past. And I think they've I think they might surprise a few people potentially actually with how good a state they're in, given the fact they've not been overly active in the transfer market. So yeah, I'd go for them, and I think Elliot Embleton being back from his loan at Blackpool last season is going to be big for them as well in midfield.
Okay, so Hutchie's saying Rotherham and Sunderland in that order for League One top two. Rossi, who have you got for top two?
Charlton and a boring answer as well as Rotherham, but I'm going to get Charlton are going to win the league.
Any particular reason?
I think with the new ownership they've got, once again, I know some people go, fans don't count too much in terms of. I just think they will be the 12th man for them. So I think they've got a good support. And Noyd Atkins, I think he's very much Marmite for a lot of people, but I think he's a good manager. He's won promotion out of this league with, I think, Scunthorpe, Southampton. So, yeah, why not? And I like Charlton as a club. I like going to the Valley, although it's a Tuesday night, which I think everyone would prefer it. It was a Saturday, but it is what it is.
You can't have everything. So you said Charlton and Rotherham. So Rotherham, a consistent top two thus far. Mike, you going to make it 3 votes for Rotherham in the top two? Have you got?
No, I'm not going to make 3 votes for Rotherham at all. I think they'll struggle on there. I think they'll drop down and struggle. There you go. One team always does a little bit. I do think Sunderland will get it right this time. I think Lee Johnson's a very good manager, and he was starting to get them really ticking by the end of the season. And I've also gone for, like Roscoe, I've gone for Charlton as well, because I think Adkins is a very underrated manager. He's sort of he's a bit of a Nigel Pearson type chap, really. Sort of Marmite was the word Roscoe used. That's a fair comment. He's not just sort of jumping around shouting and I don't know, screaming and making a fuss. But he has got the job done on a few occasions. Big club, Charlton, very big club, good fan base, new owners, you say. I suppose you could almost put them a bit of a surprise package type thing, really, in some ways. Will they be the surprise? But I don't think they will. I don't think, why should they be a surprise? Charlton are a big club. And also, I like Charlton. The ground is very nice.
Okay. Can we also this season? Can we finally get a picture of our snapper Warren Page next to Nigel Adkins, because they are the same person. I'm convinced. So I assume when you get to Charlton, he disappears, and you see him on the touchline. You never see him in the same room next to each other. There we go. Then I'm going to say top two. I'm going to agree with you, Hutchie. I think, as I said before, I can't see Town finishing above Rotherham and Sunderland. Rotherham are your classic League One up and down side. I think they're going to be there and thereabouts again. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they're in the top two. And Sunderland again, I think for the same reasons. I think they're too big of a club not to eventually get it right. And like you say, although they've not necessarily added any massive star names this summer, I just have a feeling they're going to be a promotion push this season. So I'm going to say Rotherham and Sunderland as well, with Town finishing behind them in third. Now then, probably the most difficult thing to predict is going to be the playoff spots, because behind the top two, there are so many good sides in this league. It is like Championship Light, isn't it? Championship B. A lot of big sides in League One. So positions 3 through 6, the playoff places, Stewie has gone Charlton, Rotherham, Oxford, and Wickham. And I'll say mine first. Obviously, I've got Town in third. I think Wickham. I can see Wickham, as I said, being a side that teams overlook this season, fans overlook, but will be a solid proposition and will finish in the top 6. And the last two, I mean, I've missed out sides like Charlton and Oxford here, because there's so much hashtag narrative with these last two that I just hope it happens. And I can see it happening. Portsmouth, because that would be tremendous. The whole Checkbook FC clash with the fans, and it has to be the ultimate hashtag narrative in the playoff final at Wembley. Wigan Athletic, Cook versus Liam Richardson, Gwion Edwards versus Ross Halls. I'm a big fan, a big believer in destiny, and that to me would be the perfect playoff final at Wembley. The master versus the apprentice for all the marbles going up to the championship. So that's what I'm saying. I've got Town, Wickham, Portsmouth, and Wigan. Hutchie, what are you saying?
Similar. I've got a lot of narrative in this playoff. I've only just realised that the second semi-final I predicted is packed with narrative as well. So I've got Ipswich third, obviously. I've gone for Lincoln fourth. Yes, they've lost Brennan Johnson and Morgan Rogers, but I think they've recruited well, beginning to recruit well to replace them. I think they'll do a good job. I just like the way they play. They're solid. They're a really good football team under Michael Appleton. Then I've got Portsmouth and Wigan under that. So I've got Ipswich and Wigan meeting in the semi-finals of the playoffs, and then I've got Lincoln and Portsmouth meeting in the other one, which is Danny Cowley against the team that he obviously did so much with. So, the narrative playoffs continuing there.
And either way, there you've got narrative in the final as well. If it's Portsmouth or Lincoln, haven't you? There's hashtag narrative there.
I think this Checkbook FC thing's going to fizzle out, certainly from Portsmouth's end. Now they've started recruiting players of their own, like they brought in Ogilvie and George Hurst on loan from Leicester, and they're starting to add the signings themselves. I think Portsmouth are going to slowly kind of roll back from that a little bit. I've heard, we discussed this a little bit earlier in the summer, that I think the budget at Portsmouth is maybe being downplayed a little in terms of what they're saying they have publicly. I think there might be a little bit more behind them than they're letting on. Yeah.
So you've got, who's it? Town
and Wigan. So
yeah.
So that's third v sixth, and then fourth v fifth as Lincoln and Portsmouth.
Mr. Bacon, the big porker. Who do you reckon is going to finish 3 through 6?
Right. Obviously I had Ipswich Town in fourth. I've got Sheffield Wednesday in third. I think Wednesday is set to have a decent season. And if my good friend Chris Brammer, if nothing else, that he can enjoy a season. Good Sheffield Wednesday fan, former journalist of this parish, of course. So Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich. Then I've got Wickham. Garen Ainsworth's a good. He gets them going. I mean, his haircut and everything. He's all the business, isn't he? And he's the man, isn't he? I love him. You know, I love Ainsworth. He's got a great attitude. He'll have them up there. And for no other reason other than Danny Cowley, good friend of all of us here at Ipswich. He's done a lot of this over the years. Portsmouth, I think, will be up there. I'm not picking Portsmouth because I like Danny Cowley. I think Portsmouth will be up there. And I think Hutch is absolutely right. They're a big club. They're not going to fiddle around not spending any money. Big fan base. They've got plenty of money. They'll start spending soon. And even as the season starts to unfold. So I've got Sheffield Wednesday versus Portsmouth, I suppose, in the semi, and I've got Ipswich versus Wickham, which is why we'll get to the final and win. You see, because we'll beat Wickham over 2 legs, and then we'll get to that. We'll be in the final against. Now that's a good question. You see, I suppose the Portsmouth narrative would be obviously would be the big one. So there you go. That's my 3 to 6.
Would be spicy, that one. Roscoe, what are you saying? You keep looking out your window because you're awaiting a package. So hopefully we'll get this answer before you disappear.
Yes.
What are you saying?
I'm going to be chucking a new team into the mix, and Hutchie mentioned them earlier as a dark horse. I think that was you. You said Bolton, didn't you?
Yeah. Are you putting them in the playoffs?
Wow. Yeah. I think they'll have they've just got promoted. They'll have that. What's the word?
The feel good factor, the momentum.
Yeah, that's the one. I think they recruited well. I think their manager Everett is very ambitious. I think he wants to get Bolton to the Premier League, or he wants to manage in the Premier League. So sometimes that can backfire sometimes, but I think they've recruited well, and they're a big club as well, Bolton.
He doesn't know anything other than success, Ian Everett, with and then Bolton. He's just very successful start to his football management career. I'm not sure I'd put him as high as the playoffs, but I think you're right. I definitely think they're gonna be well safe. We put the other 3 promoted teams right in the mix for relegation. I don't think Bolton will be anywhere near that.
No. So are you saying Bolton third then?
No, I think they'll just get in there. I think 6th.
Okay.
And then I'm going for Wigan for obvious reasons. What's already been said. Of course, I think I'm going to put them fifth. So we'll play them in the semis, and then third is going to be Sheffield Wednesday because Darren Moore. That is all. I like Darren Moore.
Big Dave.
Darren Moore, fantastic. So you're saying that Town are going to lose to Wigan in the semi-finals? That's your prediction?
Yeah, sadly. Yeah.
Oh, I hope not.
Green Edwards is going to scout his dive.
Scores the winning goal in the 97th minute, and then comes and hugs you.
I don't think I'll be very much wanting that hug. I'll be crying, I think.
A picture of Ross pushing Graham Edwards off. That would be tremendous. Anyway,
let's have it by the throat.
There you go, then, boys. That here endeth our big Ipswich Town predictions. So we've covered a lot of ground there, boys. We've talked about all sorts of things. We have some consistent consensus there in terms of who's going to be the leading scorer in Joe Pigott. All of us have said Town are going to finish at least in the top 6, which is the first time I think that's happened on one of these shows. And there you go. And also some consistency as well in terms of teams who are going to be in and around it. Hutchie, it's a new season. So let's have a new feature. £1 million picks. Explain it.
Right. This is a work in progress, right? I came up with this idea yesterday. Because I thought it might be fun. It might be terrible. We might drop this after a few weeks, but we should try, shouldn't we, Mike? Always try.
Well, the way you're talking about it, my friend, I suggest it probably is going to be dropped. In the next couple of weeks.
Well, just okay. Yeah, I need to be more positive. Right, £1 million picks. Here's a concept. Someone's given me £1 million, right, Mike? Just found it. I just found it. It was on the doorstep. I've got £1 million, and in the envelope with £1 million, it says, "I need you to use this £1 million to invest in Ipswich Town stuff over the course of the year, and I want more than £1 million back at the end, please." So the best way to do that is to do a weekly little bet. It's not real money. I haven't got £1 million, but each week I'm going to put a little portion of my million onto something in the upcoming game and just see where we get, see how quickly I squander this million. You should know your limits when the fun stops. Stop. Yeah. Or just use fake money like this. So £1 million picks. The first pick, I'll go for a very simple one this weekend. I'm going to use £200,000 of my million.
Decent.
On Ipswich to be winning against Morecambe at halftime and at full time. And at odds of 6-4, that would win me £500,000, £300,000 profit. So hopefully after the weekend, the £1 million pick pot will be on £1.3 million.
Superb. At the end of the season, Hutchie, when you've got 7.5 million, are you taking us all on an exotic holiday?
I think I will probably have left this job by that point. But we could have some kind of leaving do.
Low key,
yeah,
like the Bahamas. That would be nice.
Potentially, yes.
Potentially, we could go and see the KOA army around the world as a little victory lap before you depart.
Yeah, why not? Tell me if this is a terrible idea, but I thought this might be quite fun. Chance it throughout the season, see how quickly we lose it all, and see where we go.
I look forward to days when you just go crazy and just put big money on. I mean, obviously £200,000. Chump change.
Yeah. The bigger stakes will happen, but we're just feeling our way into this.
I like it. There you go. £1 million picks. That's going to be a regular feature this season. Hutchie betting imaginary cash. Obviously, always bet responsibly, as Hutchie says, when the fun stops. Stop. Boys, here endeth the big preview show. I've had a bloody good time with you all. I want to go around the room now. Just get me fired up for the season. We know Ipswich Town are going to be good this season. They may not start well, but we all think they're going to finish at least in the top 6. Mike Bacon, how exciting is this season going to be? How good is Saturday going to be? Paint pictures with your words. Set the scene, please.
Well, just imagine. I mean, just imagine as an 8-year-old boy bouncing down Portman Road on your way, and it's 6 o'clock in the evening. You're bouncing down, and you look, and you go to buy your program. You pick your program up. You're 8 years old, or pick your program up. You spent 30 pence on it, and you look at it, and it says Ipswich Town, and you look versus Barcelona. And you think, wow, I'm now about to go to Portman Road and see this game. Okay, I'm telling you, this is very similar to how I feel about my £3.50 program, in quotes, which I get free in the press box, even though no mashed potato. And I look and I'll say Ipswich Town versus Morecambe. Now, you might not think there's any comparison there. I'm telling you, though, on excitement levels, there is just the same, because I think if Ipswich Town fans cannot be, we deserve this excitement. Okay, we have been bored stiff for 10 years. Let's be quite frank. So I'm really up for this. We're all up for this. I think it's very exciting. Okay, it's not Barcelona, but I'm telling you, atmosphere at Portman Road on Saturday will be electric.
Yes. And fitting, you mentioned an 8-year-old. I'm wearing a top that would fit an 8-year-old.
You are.
Hutchie, you're going to be there on Saturday. You don't get excited about anything apart from kits and squad numbers. How excited are you going to be on a scale of 1 to bloody excited on Saturday?
Ipswich Town are going to score goals this season. Football's going to be fun. People are pulling in the same direction. There's no kind of entering the season with differing clashing agendas, and we're not talking about how long the manager gets because he should have been fired months ago kind of chat. It's everybody. I think everybody's entering this season so positive, and I can't wait. It's been miserable. People watching at home on laptops can't have been fun. Certainly in the grounds is horrible. Football is back, and it's come at a perfect time for Ipswich Town to kind of re-emerge into the world as well from obscurity, really. So I think Ipswich are going to make headlines nationally as much as League One can, and I think however it ends, I think it's going to be a really good season.
It's going to be fun. Stewie Watson rocks up 5-3 on Saturday, fresh off his summer holiday, gets right into the real stuff. Rossi, you're going to be there pitch side, struggling to contain yourself, taking pictures and videos of all sorts of things. How good Saturday going to be? 20,000 fans in Portman Road. When was the last time that happened?
It's been a while. New memories, new moments are going to be made. And, as Mike said about that 8-year-old kid, there's going to be loads of just young Town fans who could be going to their first ever Town game, because, I'm sure it's been hard to make new fans because we've been rubbish the last few years. But I'm sure there's some parents who are big Town fans and going, you know what, I'm going to take my 2-year-old, 3-year-old, however old they want to take them. And they could be going to their first ever Town game in a full Portman Road. No, we're playing Morecambe. Unfortunately, we're not playing Barcelona. But that is just going to be electric, that stadium. And I just can't wait. New chants are going to be sung from some of the players. Please, no goal music. I have a fear if there is going to be goal music, because there's going to be loads of goals this season. But hopefully they've chose the right goal music, although I think that should get in the bin. But I'm buzzing. Let's bring it on.
The last 20,000 crowd at Ipswich was the horrific 4-1 home loss to Peterborough.
Yeah,
that was dreadful. Probably as low as it got. Torn to pieces by a promotion rival then. So, none of that, please.
Hopefully no repeat of that. Portman Road is going to be looking resplendent, better than it ever has done in recent times. Certainly this Saturday, there's going to be 20,000 fans in there. We're all going to be there, although I'm actually not going to be there. I'll be there in spirit. I'll be in Eddie Hearn's back garden in Brentwood at the same time on Saturday, watching fighting. Fabio Wardley fights Saturday night. So hopefully Town win, Fabio gets a knockout, and we all go home very happy indeed. Thanks very much for listening. As ever, follow us across all our social medias, Kings of Anglia on YouTube, which has just cracked 2,000 subs and has got all sorts of video exclusives going on there this season. Get involved with that. You don't want to miss that. We're really pushing that this season. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Obviously, you can follow everything with us this season. The boys will be at every game. We've got new stuff coming out every Saturday in the Anglian. There's going to be an 8-page match preview. There's going to be a 12-page verdict every Monday in the Anglian and Star, bringing you everything from the game, all sorts of comment, analysis, pictures, reaction, whatever you want. Obviously, it's going to be all over online. And we've also got on Fridays, Anglian and Star, a 16-page big kickoff preview special, which includes an exclusive interview with Lee Evans, an exclusive interview with Mark Ashton, all our predictions, fixtures posters, Mike Bacon column, North Stander column, my thoughts on the season ahead, which obviously you don't want to miss. Friends, it's going to be, after a summer like no other, this is going to be a season like no other. This is going to be a very, very special time indeed. Everything has changed at Ipswich Town, and it's changed for the better. This season is going to be one that we all deserve, and we're going to enjoy it all together. Have a great rest of the week, friends. Enjoy the game at the weekend, and we'll be back next week when Town have won 17-0 in the first game. Come on, you Blues!
Blue Army!